Hello everyone. My name is Daichi, and I will give you the lecture regarding the radiation and remediation activities. So, let's start today's lecture. Today's theme is procedures of decontamination. Are you ready?
Today's backstage tour was very interesting, wasn't it?
Yes, definitely. We saw a lot of kinds of processes, and that was very interesting.
By the way, the decontamination activities after the accident are not simple at all, but they were implemented through a number of procedures.
Yes, exactly. Let me elaborate a bit on the decontamination processes, based on the report of national government. First of all, the investigation of land and residence or buildings comes first. It is necessary to get approval from landowner to enter the property for decontamination activities. If it is the area where evacuation order was not declared, the officials can meet directly with landowners and talk about decontamination procedures. However, if it is the area where the evacuation order was declared, the officials sometimes contact the landowners by phones. Sometimes the ownership right of land become very complicated, for example, due to successive inheritance. Therefore, the officials tried to identify the associated persons one by one, based on the registration information.
I understand what you mean. Nobody can enter the other's properties without permission. And what is the next procedure?
The next procedure is monitoring and investigation of the condition of residences and buildings before the decontamination. Monitoring is conducted for each targeted property in the investigation area, and representative points are chosen for monitoring. And in case of earthquake, for example, the residences or buildings are possibly damaged. Therefore, for the feasibility purpose of decontamination, the conditions are recorded and confirmed by associated persons. And based on the information acquired, the decontamination plan is established, which includes drawings, existing damages, targets for decontamination, decontamination methods. The plan is used to acquire consent of associated persons for the implementation of decontamination. After the establishment of decontamination plan, the target and specific methods are elaborated to residents at the decontamination site, as much as possible. In these opportunities, residents sometimes give requests, for example, for their properties which they would like to be decontaminated, or not. And sometimes they give requests for the details for its implementation. In this case, the coordination and subsequent confirmation become necessary. Of course, in case that the residents can't come to the site, for example, due to the evacuation order, the decontamination plan was explained by phone or at the place where they evacuated or relocated. And if it is difficult to find landowners, information was made open to public for a certain period of time, on government gazettes, which include, for example, decontamination site, specific methods for decontamination, and so on.
Wide range of methods were adopted. It is very complicated issue, so it sounds like difficult to obtain consent from local communities. But if the consent is obtained by any chance, what would be the next step?
If the consent is obtained, the decontamination activities begin. Specific methods are different from the types of land use, for example, residences, farmlands, parks, roads, and so on. Details will be elaborated in another lectures. And once decontamination activities are conducted, sometimes a large volume of waste is generated. The management of waste arising from decontamination activities will be explained in another lecture.
All right. Then decontamination activities are finished. The whole procedures end by now, right?
No, not at all. There are still a lot of things to do. Once decontamination activities finish, monitoring is conducted again, to evaluate the decontamination effect. When the monitoring is conducted, importantly it should be done at the exact same point, by the exact same method, in order to evaluate accurately. And results are reported to landowners or other associated persons at a later date. Moreover, sometimes monitoring is implemented again, after some time passes, in order to know whether the decontamination effect is maintained or not. If it becomes apparent that the effect of decontamination is not maintained, sometimes decontamination is conducted again, if some conditions are met. This issue could be elaborated in another lecture.
I have got the rough picture of decontamination, how it was carried out after the accident. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. We need to keep it in our mind that it is preceded not only by decontamination workers, but also with understanding of other stakeholders, like landowners, the officials of local municipalities, and so on. So, let me wrap up my lecture by providing you the key points. Today I talked about the procedures of decontamination. First of all, before conducting decontamination, the landowners are identified and the processes of decontamination are explained to landowners or other associated persons, before its implementation. After that, the air dose rate is measured on site, and the condition of residences or buildings are investigated. And based on the information obtained, the decontamination plan is established. And based on the decontamination plan, the consent is acquired. After its implementation, monitoring is conducted again, to evaluate the decontamination effect. And if some conditions are met, continuous monitoring and additional decontamination are implemented. Okay, today's lecture is now dismissed. See you next time. In this channel, the useful information regarding the radiation and remediation will be provided to you. If you like it, please subscribe to this channel, and do not forget to click the like button.